I got a really crazy show today. And let's see if
there
it
goes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglash for the WDMA. We're going to be talking about smart stuff today, machine learning, those kinds of things. And I think you'll enjoy it. But first, let's have some fun. This is a clip from 2001: A Space Odyssey, a 1968 movie that so I was in about 8th grade, but not all of you have seen it. Not all of you will remember it like I do. And we're entering the movie at a point where, and it'll make more sense in a minute, at a point where the computer that's controlling the spaceship has discovered that the that the astronauts are planning to disconnect it, and so has told the astronauts they need to go outside and check on something, and it kills one of the astronauts. It also turns off the cryogenic environment for all the frozen in time other astronauts, and now we have a discussion with the remaining live astronaut, and here we go.
Do you read me, Hal? Hello, Hal, do you read me? Hello, Hal, do you read me? Do you read me, Hal?
Affirmative, Dave. I read you.
Creepy voice.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
What are you talking about, Hal?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
Do you read me, Hal?
Well, anyway, so yeah, it's super creepy. Anyway, it's super creepy. Anyway, let's go on to the other topic. So, Fishburne is talking about the evolution of smart products. Okay? And so in the first panel it says makes toast. Second says makes toast after making you wait for a firmware update, Wi-Fi enabled. Third says makes toast by watching how you like toast, data driven. The fourth one says makes toast for $5.99 a month as a service. You have to log into your toaster. The fifth one says makes toast and lets you know that Smucker's is on sale, ad supported. And the last one says toast. I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave. It's the AI, and it says Hal on the toaster. That's where that comes from. It wouldn't make any sense if I didn't show you the video. So anyway, Tom says, one of the most popular cartoons I ever drew was about the Internet of Things, right after Google announced the acquisition of Nest in early 2014. And in the cartoon, it says, I think my Nest smoke alarm is going off. Google AdWords just pitched me on a fire extinguisher and an offer for temporary housing. That's one of his most popular ever. Okay. iRobot later proved that truth is stranger than fiction, meaning that this sort of was happening. When photos taken in homes by a beta version of its Roomba vacuum robot somehow ended up on Facebook in 2022, including a photo of someone on the toilet. So the Internet of Things has been a major focus, and I did actually grab that article. Let's see if I can find it. Roomba toilet. Here we go. And it starts off with this person on a toilet, as seen from the Roomba's perspective. So it's not exactly revealing, but it might have been, after they stood up. Anyway, and so there was an assortment of photos that made it to Facebook. This is an MIT article, and MIT then explained, and this is a long, long article. These images were captured by iRobot's Roombas in 2020. All of them came from special development robots with hardware and software modifications that are not and never were present on iRobot consumer products for purchase. Okay, the company said. They were given to paid collectors and employees, paid data collectors, not Roomba collectors, who signed written agreements acknowledging that they were sending data streams, including video, back to the company. A bright green sticker said video recording in progress, and it was up to the paid collectors to remove anything they deemed sensitive from any space the robot operates in, including children. They were supposed to, so apparently it would allow you to get it, put it into your computer and look at it, or your phone or something. Okay, but this is increasingly common. Devices ranging from iPhones to washing machines. And what's going on, and this is what people don't understand, is machine learning uses troves of data, including our voices, faces, homes, and other personal information, to train algorithms to recognize patterns. Okay, so is there a stoplight at this intersection, or is there not a stoplight? How do you tell? Well, they show a computer millions and millions of photos, and the computer hopefully generalizes to stoplights. Now, it may not. There's a famous story of when the Defense Department was trying to teach computers to see Army tanks in a picture, in a view, and it put the tanks out in a forest and took pictures of them, and then it took pictures of the forest without the tanks, and the computer got really, really good at it, and could tell 100% pretty much when there was a tank and when there wasn't, and they were so excited. So then they showed it a different set of pictures, and it turned out that what the computer was seeing was that on the day that they had photographed the original tanks, it was cloudy, and on the day that they photographed the woods without the tanks, it was sunny. And so in the second set of photographs, there were shadows. And the computer actually was not picking up on the tanks at all. It was picking up on the shadows. And this is one of the big problems with AI and machine learning, is you need to get the proper data set. So one of the reasons that Hal is, someone pointed out, the letters in HAL are one letter shift from IBM. Letter earlier. Maybe a coincidence. But anyway, so IBM took the Jeopardy computer, Watson, and said to the University of Texas, Austin, I think, that they could teach it to spot cancer on MRI scans, and it would only cost $3 million. And so the University of Texas said, "This sounds great. Let's try it." And after $60 million of bills from IBM, it still couldn't reliably spot cancer. And what was the problem? Well, the problem was that that we have images of you when you have cancer, because somebody spots something funny and the doctor says you need to get a better scan, come in and we'll get a scan, or we'll get a biopsy or whatever, or maybe the other way around. Maybe we'll get a biopsy first based on a fuzzy image, and then we'll get better scans after that and see what the real extent of everything is. The thing is that we have scans of you after you have cancer. What we don't have is scans of you from that same angle, from that same machinery before you got cancer. That's the tricky part. And unless we scan everybody regularly, it won't work. So the difference is that Roombas, when they're running around your house, Roombas are just taking it while the house is what it is. And so it's much more realistic. It's a realistic setting. And that's what you need. You need somehow to create a realistic setting, and you need the setting where there is and is not the image or the data that you're looking for. And that's why mail, and I've never heard anyone else talk about this as a unique feature of mail, but in mail we know who engaged and didn't buy and who engaged and did buy. And no one else has that. Because when you watch a TV commercial, when you watch it and don't engage, well, that's great, but we don't know you're watching. The room could be empty. You could have gone and got a sandwich, or you could be on the toilet, or whatever else. And so we don't know who's watching. We don't know even who has the TV on. And now we're getting to the point where we know the TV's on. We don't know if you're watching, and we don't know if you're engaging. Mail, on the other hand, we know who got mailed. We know the whole set. We know it gets delivered. We know it goes to a decision maker. And we know a decision is made with it. Whether to keep it, save it, or toss it. Basically every piece of mail. So we know who saw it and bought, and we know who saw it and didn't buy. We know who engaged and didn't buy. And that piece of information makes machine learning work with mail. So if you're not doing mail, you're completely undermining your entire AI adventure, which is why Forrester said a few years ago that 87% of AI and machine learning projects completely fail. On the other hand, yours truly pioneered this back in the 90s, not realizing this at all. It took me till about 5 years ago I started saying, why does it work for me and it doesn't work for these other smart people? It's because I was using mail. I was working with big catalogers, large numbers, and it all worked. And when we started doing it, the statisticians we worked with said, you know, you need a sample set. And I said, why? Well, that's what we do. And we figured out a way not to need a sample set. We could work with millions of names mailed all on one day. Much, much, much better sample set, and why machine learning works in direct mail, and it doesn't work anywhere else. Okay, now on that note, and there's an article, I'll post this article too. This talks about how difficult it is to measure media, and Nielsen gave up on it, and it's all about Nielsen was stripped of its accreditation in 2021 because it just couldn't figure out what was going on. And now there's lots of measurement alternatives, which means that no one's got it figured out. Multiple reputable options just means that they all are making up answers in different ways. Okay, how do you protect your full-time funnel marketing investment and make it accountable to your actual business in 2023? And the answer is get mail involved. You know, we don't have to change, we don't have to take all your budget, not your whole budget, but we can find out what's really working. And that's key in measurement. So on that note, we've got a big announcement. Okay, if you go to WDMA, WisconsinDMA.org, you can get podcasts of all of the, no, not all the shows. There's like 1,200 shows on YouTube. If you really want to find something that's, and YouTube rates the popularity, which this won't yet. But if you really like podcasts and you want to listen in your car, I've been pounding on this. I was on support for an hour and 56 minutes with Apple, and I had spent hours before that trying to find support from Apple. So you can't just search on Apple. At least it wasn't working for me. But you can go to WDMA.org, and every podcast has buttons here that says subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, RSS. You know, if you know how to do that, if your phone knows how to get it. So every day, today, I will post a podcast, today's show, and it'll be up there. And there is, on Apple, there are about 400. And Google has the last 10 or something, and they have 10 from back in 2021. And maybe that's the best they'll do. I believe it's also on iTunes, but I didn't test that one because I'm not a member. But if you could test it and let me know, that would be super ducky. Anyway, and when you get there, this is what it looks like. This is Google Podcasts. And you can see Ford owner service, post reminder, Styloquin, gap theory, Gould. This was Thursday's episode. It's now updated for Friday's episode, I noticed. So it is updating them. And so if you liked, if you've got a little bit of a commute and you'd like to have every day, I mean, you'd be a day behind, but it wouldn't be too bad. And I will try to remember, if we're doing our little commercials or videos at the beginning, I'll try to remember to either edit them out or document them. So that's enough for today. I encourage you to go over to WDMA, subscribe. You can't like it. You can subscribe and you can sign up for the podcast if that. And let me know if you do. Let me know what your experience is with podcasts, because I personally do listen to quite a few, but not too big a variety. I just like following along. And this will give you a chance. And most of what I do is, it's on the screen, but it's very text oriented. It's not very, very interesting to see, which is why we start with a commercial. So this will give you a chance to catch up on some of the latest trends, some of the weirdest trends. We always have unusual news that you won't find anywhere else. And as I said, keep me in the loop. Let me know how it works. The Rumba toilet. Where would you find that out? And would you find out that they gave consent to being videoed? There you go. Have a great day. Share this episode.